So, CASK2026, Custodians and Archivists of Systems Knowledge. Thanks, Rob, Peter, and Luke for organising. And this will be familiar. This is just a snapshot of the schedule. And it's 5 days out from the event, so it may be more updated by now. Lots of good talks there. AI and archives, accessibility of archives. So, a terrific event. Thank you for organising. I'm JT Velikovsky, some of my credentials there, and my 2016 Evolutionary Culturology PhD used a lot of systems science and systems theory, including the systems model of creativity. And as you can see, the title of the PhD was Communication, Creativity and Consilience in Cinema. Emphasis on the word consilience there. So, thanks to Rob for the framing and phrasing of this. Looks like we've identified a subset of GST or General Systems Theory candidates with some proposed classifications of number 1, a worldview or cosmological focus, number 2, a knowledge and unity of knowledge or consilience focus, and number 3, of course, the systems approach. And as Rob suggested, unity of knowledge is likely intrinsic to a community of custodians and archivists of systems knowledge. So hopefully this is all on topic. And hats off to Rob and the Systems Community Alliance for their list of 65 plus general systems theory candidates. Using that as inspiration, moving now to this concept, a proposed consilience network, and hopefully one of the outputs of which would be Table 1, a neutral comparative register of about perhaps 10 different frameworks, including Howard Bloom's Omnology, Chasson's Cosmic Evolution, Halligan's Principia Cybernetica, and UTOC, etc., from Greg Henrique. So this is just a sketch of what one of the outputs would ideally be once we've done some work on this. And just focusing in on the concept of consilience, the unity of knowledge, Ed Wilson's 1998 great book, where he talks about the 3 great branches of learning that began back with, let's say, Aristotle. They were all the one branch of learning, but over the eons, or the last 2,000 years, say, they've split off into 3 major branches: the sciences, the social sciences, and the arts and humanities, which seem to have separate, for the most part, separate disciplinary silos. But of course, systems theory is a good way to reunify these 3 great branches of learning. And so Ed's book, Consilience, was of course addressing the 2 cultures problem outlined by C.P. Snow, a chemist and novelist, in 1959. And then an update to that book in 1963 with an extra chapter called The 2 Cultures, A Second Look. So, yes, addressing this problem of the 2 cultures, science versus the arts. And here's one of the traditional views. You have sciences on the one side, the arts on the other, and a large brick wall in between them. So the idea of consilience is making it one culture again and removing that brick wall in the middle, ideally. And here's a diagram from page 21 of an Ev Cult textbook. Up top, around Aristotle's day, all knowledge and culture was the one thing, pretty much, philosophy or natural philosophy. Then the Enlightenment in the 1600s, and we see this branching off into 3 great branches of learning, and the idea of consilience is to reunite those 3 great branches under the purview of science. Next. And that's page 21 from that book. And so here's a few quick quotes from Ed Wilson's great book, Consilience. On page 146, he asks, what then, if anything, is the basic unit of culture? And on the EvCult blog, there's an essay pointing out 160 plus past propositions for the basic unit of all culture. And another great quote, the central idea of Consilience worldview is all tangible phenomena are based on material processes that are ultimately reducible, however long and tortuous the sequences, to the laws of physics. We'll get to that later. Many of these frameworks have laws underpinning them. And another quote, Consilience's surest test will be its effectiveness in the social sciences and humanities. So just a quick sampler of some of the concepts in that great book. And EvCult's one of these framework that proposes unifying the three great branches with a single set of units, scales, laws, and evolutionary mechanisms. And so thus proposing a Consilience network, there's a position paper on the EvCult blog called Consilience Among Consilience Projects Toward a Comparative Network for the Unity of Knowledge. And we'll just have a quick skim through that online essay. And here's a quick fly through of this position paper on establishing a Consilience network, and hopefully being able to compare these 10 or more frameworks. And of course, many systems knowledge custodians here will be able to suggest extra ones that I'm sure we've missed. There's the abstract aiming to address Wilson's Consilience, the unity of knowledge. So proposing a Consilience network and hopefully getting a comparative table going. And the problem being the fragmentation of knowledge. This is a quick history snapshot of 1939, the 5th International Congress for the Unity of Science. So this is not a new problem. People have been working on this one for many decades, if not millennia. So a few examples: big history, cosmic evolution, Principia Cybernetica, unified theory of knowledge, Howard Bloom's omnology. These are just examples. And yes, addressing the problem of Consilience, the unity of knowledge, in Ed's great book from 98, which is, of course, addressing the problem of the two cultures, raised by C.P. Snow in 1959. And just some suggestions for how to begin this process. Assembling such a table, addressing knowledge fragmentation, and noting AI systems can be useful for this. And the reason being, with the unity of knowledge, we can start solving these global problems such as climate change, AI threats, war, etc. Here's a list of research questions. What other projects have attempted to solve this unity of knowledge problem? And what units, laws, principles, methods, etc. do these frameworks use? And how can they be compared fruitfully without necessarily competing? Much better if they can cooperate or operate together and fill in each other's gaps. And so that's this proposed forum for any frameworks, such as systems science frameworks that aim towards unity of knowledge. Possible failure modes and how to avoid them, inclusion criteria for frameworks in the comparative table, excluded categories, and what the Consilience network is not. And then looking at some comparative criterion. There's my AVG anti-track. Let's hope that gets out of the way soon. And so looking at the problem each framework solves, its units, laws, methods, etc. There's a few examples. And here's a quick literature review, very brief literature review of the historical lineage of solving the unity of knowledge problem, from Leibniz to the Vienna Circle, cybernetics, cosmic evolution, etc. And a quick snapshot of some of the frameworks, brief summaries, and then one suggestion for the neutral comparative register, the different rows and columns there. This is a very early rough first draft, of course, and ideally passing it over to the experts to check their rows. GST projects, of course, one row there, general systems theory, and there's slightly more detail. And another table comparing various aspects or features and how they can also contribute to each other with reciprocal developments for the unity of knowledge. So cooperation rather than competition, and some other risks and failure modes to hopefully be avoided, and how we might engage AI to assist with this task of comparing them, hopefully without human bias. And so, yes, hoping to work towards a comparative register of Consilience frameworks, some sort of spreadsheet, website, or knowledge graph, some useful table that we can share, hopefully. And it can be as light touch as you like. You might only want to spend 10 minutes checking your row if you'd like to be involved, or we can set up discussion groups depending how things proceed. So there's quite a long position paper on that proposal for a light touch Consilience network. So there should be a link to that position paper in the description below this video. And so in EvCult, a system has 5 features: inputs, outputs, system boundary, a processor inside, and a larger ecosystem. And here's one example from the EvCult PhD 2016, and it's also in the textbook Elements of EvCult 2023 revised 2nd edition, looking at the units and their scale levels from pixels all the way up to the largest unit, the cultural domain of cinema. Looking at the domain of cinema or movies. Here's one looking at the domain of novels from the smallest unit, glyphs, all the way up to the cultural domain of all prose fiction, novels, novellas, etc. Here's one looking at the units and scale levels in popular songs. Excuse me, from Elements of EvCult 2023. So again, just using different examples from the arts and humanities for how this meta scientific framework can be applied. And it'd be good to look at all the other frameworks and how they analyze such units. Here's one of the cosmos, from quarks all the way up to universe and multiverse, the different units or fractal whole and partons on the different scale levels, again from Elements of EvCult next. And so, yes, using those 3 laws, it would be good if these frameworks can cooperate sideways rather than compete, and hopefully integrate upwards into some useful new knowledge. Throwing the question out, what does Consilience, the unity of knowledge, require? One idea is a single universal scientific set of units across all domains, scale levels for those units, scientific laws, evolutionary mechanisms of change, and of course scientific models. So just food for thought, and GST obviously fits into all this. There's EvCult in 6 sentences. Won't dwell on that. That's all over the EvCult blog. And another thing we might end up with, apart from a table, is some kind of a map showing which frameworks cover which domains, and being able to test, hopefully with AI, if they truly do apply across all 50,000 plus domains. Oh, and just on the topic of systems knowledge worth archiving, these books were very helpful for the EvCult PhD in 2016. Systems, New Paradigm for the Human Sciences, seems to be out of print or hard to get a hold of. Laszlo's great textbook, Introduction to Systems Philosophy. It may be in print again, but last time I looked it wasn't. And these two great collections by F.E. Emery, I think this was printed in Australia, Systems Thinking. There's edition 1. Not sure if the light's going to catch that. Systems Thinking. There's edition 1. And then I've also got volume 1 again, but from 1981. It was reprinted. Still trying to get a hold of volume 2. So those are just some interesting resources that I think are worth archiving. And of course, then there's the great Consilience by Ed Wilson, and there's other literature as well, such as Creating Consilience, edited by Slingerland and Collard, Integrating the Sciences and the Humanities. Some useful books there. And yes, speaking of archiving systems knowledge, we're doing some work in the ISSS GST SIG AI working group on Len Troncali repository GPTs. And Ryan Dean of the Howard Bloom Institute has done some great work on similar work on a Howard Bloom archive called Bloombot and a Velikovsky archive called VelikovskyBot. More on that link at the bottom. And there's just some screenshots of these two bots created by Ryan Dean, who's also in the AI working group and has done some work on Len Troncali GPTs for us. Thanks, Ryan. And hats off also to Peter with his work with Claude and AI in these various websites. And likewise to Luke with the Systems Modelling Institute's work, also using AI. So hopefully some interesting ideas and connections there, and let's please keep in touch about a possible Consilience network. Got the merchandise here already. I don't know if you can see that. It's a Consilience t-shirt. Science, social science, arts, and the overlap. Consilience now. So good to get the merchandise going early for Consilience. And once again, yes, if there's any interest in this Consilience network, please do keep in touch. And thanks again, everyone, for this great event. Thanks, Rob, Luke, and Peter. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.